All right, A to Z Sports back here for a little immediate instant reaction as the Titans break their own news Tuesday morning, just after our morning show ended, that they are, quote, parting ways with general manager Ran Carthon. I'm Austin Stanley alongside Easton Freeze. Easton, we talked for over an hour Tuesday morning about the silence of Amy Adams Strunk, the controlling owner of the Titans, only for her to announce this decision just around 9:30 Tuesday morning. Via a statement that Ran Carthon is out as Titans GM 2 seasons into the job. Here is the statement from Amy Adams Strunk. Quote, "I love the time I've spent with Ran. He's a talented football mind, a great man, and a friend to everyone along his path. It's impossible to ignore that our football team hasn't improved over the past 2 years. I'm deeply disappointed in our poor win-loss record during this period, of course, but my decision also speaks to my concern about our long-term future should we stay the course. I love this team more than you can imagine. To our fans, we know this level of performance isn't acceptable. We're humbled by your support as we continue to work towards building the team you expect and deserve." That is Amy Adams Strunk, controlling owner's words there on the firing of Ran Carthon. And now 3 seasons in a row, the firing of GM John Robinson, head coach Mike Vrabel, and now GM Ran Carthon. Easton, I did see Burke Nihill, president, CEO, had some extra context to the immediate and maybe the future regarding Chad Brinker. Kind of update us on that part of the story.
Yeah, so Burke Nihill, the CEO and president of the Titans, spoke with team media, Jim Wyatt, an article that came out in conjunction with this announcement. Just some snippets, and I recommend everybody go read it because it's a lot of information in there.
Sure.
Chad, this was a quote, "Chad will be the final authority on all football matters, including the roster." So this is a team that is going to, in that announcement, the Amy Adams Strunk announcement email that we got, not included in the graphic we just showed, was the fact that Chad Brinker will be leading, Brian Callahan will be retained as the head coach, and Chad Brinker will be leading the search for a new GM, which makes you wonder, okay, so Chad Brinker, who we all thought if Ran gets fired, he'll be elevated to be GM. Not the case, right? He's going to help find a new one. But as outlined by this article with Burke Nihill explaining a little bit, and there are a lot of questions we're going to have this team answer at a press conference, ideally the owner, but very low chances of that being the case, unfortunately. Chad being the final authority on all football matters, including the roster, means that functionally, it seems Chad Brinker will be the GM in function, just not in title. They'll be looking for a new GM in title, but that role, as further elaborated on by Nihill, was this Nihill? Yes, by Nihill in that article, he says, quote, "At the end of the day, this person," talking about the new GM, "is going to be all ball all day. They're going to focus on the roster and the coaching staff. And I, Chad Brinker, will continue in my role with handling all the other areas that surround the center of your program, scouting, and coaches. So I will support that person, but we are looking for a general manager who wakes up every day and is focused on building the team." Which,
very interesting. Yeah.
Our understanding is that's what Ran Carthon was this year. So there's a lot of questions here, but Austin, what is your reaction to the decision?
Yeah, Tuesday morning, we both said that we didn't think Ran Carthon's resume was enough to lose him his job. Now, we all know that the Titans finished 3-14. They're picking number 1 in the NFL draft. And there is a unique circumstance to opportunities are endless of having that number 1 overall pick and having the chance to reset a little bit or all a bit with that number 1 overall pick and a potential quarterback with the draft pick. But I thought Ran Carthon's best asset as a front office member was his ability to create relationships and close deals,
right?
In free agency and whatever that player acquisition path would be. And I think if Chad Brinker is your analytical driven background evaluation scouting mind, having the relationship guy in the GM seat like Ran Carthon was a good 1-2 punch. But it seems like, and I saw Burke Nihill's statement also said that Carthon was brought in, was hired into a very different job description than the one that exists today. So they're changing the job description of GM for the Titans. And I don't know if that's something that Ran was interested in, if it's something that Ran was going to be good at, because, Ran Carthon was fired, right? But the initial words is they parted ways. So maybe there's something more to that. If Ran was being demoted and Chad Brinker was the ultimate last word on everything and Ran did not want to do that, I'm not sure. But very weird, strange situation. But seems like Chad Brinker's the boss man rolling forward. So I'm curious to see what type of person lands in that GM seat and how much control and power do they actually have.
Yeah, and in this piece with Nihil, it's constantly talking about how the role that Ran Carthon was brought in to do when he was hired with Vrabel before Chad Brinker was ever here, right? Because Chad Brinker was hired by Ran Carthon.
Yeah.
The role that Ran was originally brought in to do is a very different role than what Ran was doing this year and ultimately what the organization wants their GM to do going forward. Now, that's the crux of what we need to find out all of the details on at the press conference coming up. But if we throw that graphic back up one more time of the Amy Adams Strunk announcement, the thing that I think sticks out the most is the second half of this middle paragraph here. Mm-hmm. Not only is she deeply disappointed in the win-loss record during this period, of course, which is the thing that you expect an owner to very shallowly fire people over. Well, if you lose, it's a results-based business, right? So you lose, somebody's head's got to roll. And in that sense, I do think that Ran Carthon here, as I'll outline in an article later, probably today or tomorrow at A2ZSports.com, think that he was unfairly scapegoated. He did not, as we talked about on the morning show, Austin, that's worth going back and listening to, because we talked about the reasons why you could justify firing him. And on the surface, it didn't seem like there was justification for firing. But what she says here, the back half, my decision also speaks to my concern about our long-term future should we stay the course. So that sounds like somebody that made this decision maybe less about the actual wins and the losses and more about the structure of her organization, more about the fit that Ran Carthon was for this role that they need. And that's what there are a million questions popping into my mind about, a million questions that Amy Adams Strunk must speak to real reporters about. I have very little faith that she will, and it's going to be a terrible look once again for her. This all looks like predictable, foolish, emotional ownership nonsense behavior is what it looks like. And it looks like Amy Adams Strunk is very bad at this. And the evidence, I think, the past couple of years is kind of mounting against her. Her process is inconsistent. Her process is on paper bad and inefficient. And she also won't speak for these things. I fully expect Chad Brinker to be trotted out in the next 12 hours, 24 hours to answer for the massive franchise-altering decision that Amy herself just made, just like she made Randu last year when she did it to Vrabel. And look out, Chad, because the trend here is that you're next, buddy.
Yeah, it's 3 seasons in a row.
Now you're going to be fired.
Yeah, 3 seasons in a row. And look, maybe this is the reset button, and the whole tying the GM, head coach, and quarterback together is Chad Brinker, Brian Callahan, and whatever they do with the number 1 overall draft pick. But I agree with you. This does feel like it was more than 9-25. 9-25 the last 2 seasons with Ran Carthon as the Titans GM. It does feel like a structured thing moving forward, and maybe that Ran wasn't the right fit for whatever they envisioned the GM role evolving into. It's still weird. I don't think, 9-25 is not good. Nobody is saying 9-25 is acceptable, but I think the job that Ran Carthon had to do in his first offseason, which was clean up the salary cap, and in the second offseason, having the most cap space available to have to go spend something to get butts in seats. And then they were failed by the wild play of Will Levis, which Ran Carthon is tied to now. So now maybe this is a clean break from the drafting of Will Levis, because Mike Vrabel's gone, Ran Carthon's gone, and we'll find out if Will Levis sticks around for year 3 or not with the Tennessee Titans. But we have a ton of content to get to. A2ZSports.com/Titans. All of our social media accounts I'm sure there's going to be a press conference maybe today on Tuesday or Wednesday. But we will also have Sam Phelan live for A2Z Sports Primetime tonight. Maybe Buck Rising jumps in with Sam as well. And then we've also got Easton, you and I again Wednesday morning reacting more to this. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page. Make sure you like the show, you subscribe to our channels, and like our Facebook page, A2ZSports.com/Titans, Instagram, Twitter, everything, where we will have the latest with the Titans and the decision to fire GM Ran Carthon. That's it for us right now. More to come, but make sure you hit that like button before you're out of here, and we'll talk to you guys very soon. Appreciate it.